Team coverage of the Ebola outbreak, beginning with Janelle Burrell live at University Hospital in Newark, where the quarantine nurse is set to be released. Janelle.
Well, Mary, Nurse Casey Hickox was to be on her way out of Newark and back home to Maine after this ordeal that pitted Governors Christie and Cuomo against the White House and the CDC. But this afternoon, Governor Christie is defending his decision, saying that the best interests of the people of New Jersey were his top priority.
No matter what you do, there will be critics, and you don't worry about that. You worry about doing what's right for the people you represent.
Governor Chris Christie defending his decision this morning to keep Nurse Casey Hickox in isolation. But today, after nearly 4 days in this tent she called a prison, she'll be heading home to Maine, free from the conditions she described as inhumane.
I think this is an extreme that is really unacceptable, and I feel like my basic human rights have been violated.
The 33-year-old nurse tested negative for Ebola after returning from Sierra Leone, where she helped treat Ebola patients. But because of a mandate by Governor Christie, doctors kept Hickox quarantined in the tent set up at University Hospital. She says the tent only contained a bed and a makeshift toilet.
I understand that she didn't want to be there. She made that very clear from the beginning. But my obligation is to all the people of New Jersey, and we're just going to continue to do that.
If he knew anything about Ebola, he would know that asymptomatic people are not infectious.
New York and New Jersey enacted their own Ebola guidelines, stricter than those advised by the CDC. White House officials were displeased by the move, pressuring Governors Christie and Cuomo to relax the criteria for isolation.
My practice has always been to err on the side of caution.
Sunday, Governor Cuomo announced some changes in New York. Now, if a person arriving from West Africa has symptoms of the virus, he or she will be transported in protective gear to a designated hospital. If a person has had direct contact with Ebola but has no symptoms, that person will remain under a mandatory 21-day home quarantine. And if a person arrives with no symptoms and had no direct contact with the virus, he or she will be treated on a case-by-case basis. It's not clear whether the release of Casey Hickox was because of pressure by the CDC. But this afternoon, people outside of University Hospital had mixed reaction to doctors discharging her.
They should at least wait a couple more days to make sure, because that happened last time, and we see what happened.
That's a good thing. You know, she needs to get back with her family. Not the best place in the world to be. I got to give other places to be myself.
Now, we're told that Hickox will be transferred via ground transportation, not mass transit or commercial air. When she goes back home to Maine, it will be up to Maine officials whether she remains in isolation.